Welcome to Conversations at the Crossroads, the podcast where spirituality meets the beautifully messy experience of being a human. I'm Jenny, a tarot reader, Reiki practitioner, witch, mentor, hairstylist, and the voice behind Conversations at the Crossroads. Each week, we gather here at the Crossroads to explore spirituality, personal growth, and the tools that help us navigate an ever-evolving human journey. Some conversations will dive into the mystical, others into the practical, and sometimes we'll just sit together through the hard stuff. Along the way, we'll explore ideas that challenge us, stories that shift our perspective, or practices that help us walk our path with a little more intention. So wherever you're listening from, take a breath, settle in, and join me on the Crossroads. Welcome back to the Crossroads. So, I pulled a Six of Swords on Wednesday morning before I even got to work. For those of you that know tarot, you know what that card says. It's time to move. Not a maybe and not a suggestion. It's the universe literally pulling up in a boat and saying, girl, get in. I already knew in my heart. I already knew. I had gotten up that morning and I was in the shower just kind of talking myself through everything. And I had already made peace with a decision that I hadn't really fully said out loud yet. And when I got to work, there was a letter. No conversation, no heads up, just a letter. And even though I had already decided, even though the card confirmed it and my gut confirmed it, I won't pretend that it didn't knock the wind out of me, because it did. So this episode is about that, about being at a crossroads you saw coming, but still weren't totally ready for, about what it means when someone you respected shows you a side of themselves that doesn't match who you thought they were, about gratitude that is deep and real and doesn't make the goodbye any easier, and about how to hold all of that while trusting that what's been cleared out of your life is making room for what you actually asked for. This is Conversations at the Crossroads, and right now I am unexpectedly, undeniably at a major one. So let's get into that. I want to be really clear about something before I say anything else. This episode is about my journey of leaving the salon that I'm currently renting from. And I'm not leaving this place with bitterness in my heart. I am leaving with gratitude, like real deep and complicated gratitude that honestly makes the whole thing that much harder to process. Because when I got there, a month after I signed my lease to rent there, my mom died. And the people in that building, they were kind in a way that you can only be when it is genuine. And they gave me grace when I was traveling back and forth to Virginia and back to Asheville, North Carolina, to try to clean out my mom's apartment and grieve and keep a business, a brand new business, running all at the same time. They didn't make me feel like a burden. They made me feel like I belonged somewhere while everything else was falling apart. And I'll always be really grateful for that, for the beginning of how the relationship started off in this space. And the person I became inside those walls, she grew, she healed, she figured out who she was on the other side of the hardest year of her life. It wasn't met with resistance along the way. I was encouraged, I was accepted, and I was supported in my healing, in my practice, and the things I was doing to put myself back together, centering my business around my spiritual path, all of those great awakenings that happened after losing my mom and just so happened while I was in the very baby beginning stages of building this business. And so I don't take this lightly, not even a little bit, because the time that I spent there and the things that I experienced while working within this space was monumental for me. It was a life-changing, pivotal chapter for me. And what makes this so bittersweet is that the goodbye isn't written in the font I would have chosen. I would have chosen something warm, something that honored what was built, the gratitude I had for the people in the building, the gratitude I had for the person who gave me a chance to start my business there. And that's its own kind of grief, honestly. Grieving the ending you wished you'd gotten. But here's what I know. There are people in that place that I love, and I'm going to trust that what I felt was real because it was real for me. No, what every connection holds outside of those walls, time will tell. But the experience shaped me in the same way. The growth was real. The memories were real. The friendships that formed in the middle of the worst year of my life, those are mine to keep. My truth is one that I'm grateful for, and I'll look back on it fondly, even still. But here is what else is true at the exact same time. In the last episode, I talked about breakthroughs I had, about leaning into what I actually want for my life and my business. And a lot of that clarity came from realizing that the spiritual side of my community, the people I know through that part of my work, they've become something different than just professional partners. They have become an actual community. And I made a conscious choice to spend more time there, to lean in, to trust that instinct. And the people in that space have shown up for me in ways that have honestly shifted even more things for me. Not just during this crazy time of transition, but how I see what's actually possible for my business and in my life. They have supported me and they've held me and they've lifted me up when I needed the most because deciding to leave or having to leave, just leaving in general, a place that has been my stability through a wave of chaos is scary and emotional. And they have looked at what's happening, and instead of going quiet, they've been more present, more real, soft, and encouraging at the same time. And that confirmed to me that I was right about where I belong, about who my people are, about what community actually feels like when it's genuine. So, yes, I'm grieving an ending that didn't happen the way I wanted. And simultaneously, I'm being held by the people who get it, who see me, who are proving to me every single day that I made the right call when I decided to turn toward that side of my life and make it not just something that was a side project, but an equal standing in my life and my business. Many things can be true at once, just like the title of one of the first full-length episodes of this podcast. Loss and gain, an ending that stings, and a beginning that feels like coming home. And so there's another piece of this that I want to talk about. And I'm going to be intentional about how I do it because I'm not here to call anybody out. That's genuinely not the point. But I can't talk about this crossroads honestly without talking about what it feels like when someone that you respected and looked up to shows you a different version of themselves that you never expected to see coming. Because one of the things I've been sitting with this week is disappointment. Not anger exactly, even though, yeah, some anger exists there. And defensiveness, I'm sure, comes from other wounds that don't even have anything to do with this. But disappointment, that specific kind of hurt that only happens when you had real respect for someone, when you looked up to them, when you believed in the version of themselves they presented to you. And then something happens, and there's a different version. And you're left replaying everything, going back through every interaction, asking yourself, did I miss something? Was it always like this and I just couldn't see? Was there conversations that I wasn't present for that had something to do with this? Is there context I'm not getting? Because something about this feels bigger than the thing that started it. Because I could swear I was told that if there was ever an issue, we can talk about it. If there's something wrong, if something comes up, we can talk about things, we can have a conversation. And I'll be real, I can be kind of flighty. I can not realize that something's going on. I can miss context clues or have forgotten I've even done something or forgotten that I didn't do something I should have. So, I always expected a conversation should there have been any question, because we respect each other, and that's what people who respect each other do and who care about each other, is they give each other the common decency of addressing an issue before it gets out of control, before it gets out of hand. And I don't have a clean answer for that. But the thing that keeps coming up in my mind that I keep saying to myself that this has really highlighted, and I don't think that this is a thought specifically on this situation. I think I've been writing this sentence in my head for a while in different situations with people. But the thing that I keep telling myself is that sometimes people are exactly who they say they are until it costs them something, until it's inconvenient for them to be the person even they want to be. And then that default programming kicks in, and that's not really about you. That's about whatever is living underneath the surface in them that they haven't reckoned with yet. Or that's about what they're holding that they haven't told you. And if they haven't told you and they haven't talked to you about it, then it's none of your business, I think. So it's really not about you. You can honor the connection that you had with someone and still grieve the version of them that you believed in. Those things can live together, and it's uncomfortable, but they can. And I think the real lesson here is the thing I'm trying to genuinely absorb and not just say is that how someone shows up when things get hard is who they actually are. The rest is who they are trying to be or who they want to be. And sometimes those things match up and sometimes they don't. I'm really trying to make peace with that because it's a shock to the system when you think you have a friend in someone or you think that somebody cares about you, or you think that a situation is one thing, and then you're suddenly and abruptly informed that that is not the case. You're met with silence. You're met with just being cut off, stonewalling, however you want to say it. Just sudden, surprising behavior. Well, the other thing I've been thinking about over the past couple of weeks about the situation while I'm in the shower and driving and pulling cards is about the journey that led up to me being in this space that I grew so much in the first place. The place that I had left, that I had been at for a long time, for 6 years. And that 6 years was 6 years of feeling unseen, underappreciated, disrespected. I was giving and giving and not fully being recognized for what I was bringing at that salon. And eventually I got to a point where I just couldn't deal with the way that I was being treated anymore. I had gotten to the emotional end of my rope, and I said, no more. I cannot take this. I will not take this. I will not be treated like this anymore. And then I put my resume together to look for other places to work because I did quit my job without having a plan, and that is not like me. I've never done that before in my life. And when I put my resume together and I looked at it, and I had gone on an interview and I had looked at this place that I ended up going to rent, um, I really was like, wow, as somebody who has been a manager looking at resumes of people to hire, I thought, man, what if I hired myself? Because this person deserves a boss that believes in her. The person that I see on this sheet of paper, the skill sets, the dedication, the passion, that person deserves a boss that believes in her. So I became that boss. And that's how I ended up where I've been. That's how I've built what I've built over the last 2 years. And Wednesday morning, standing in the middle of everything that's been happening, I had to ask myself the same question that I asked back then. Why would I stay somewhere that I felt like I was disrespected? Why would I beg for a seat at the table that was never really fully mine? Why would I sit with a narrative being written about me that I had no say in and no real opportunity to address? The answer is the same as it was before. I wouldn't and I won't. Because the version of me who is standing here today has even more reason to demand a seat that fits her than she did 2 years ago. I've grown, I've built, I've survived things that would have leveled a different version of me. And I know what I want. You don't beg for respect at a table of people refusing to look at you. You don't beg for respect at a table of people who won't even give you the courtesy of an explanation of why they won't look your way. You build your own freaking table. So, and last week I talked about the dreamy dream, about the expansion, about what I actually want for my business and my life. And I let myself really vision it without putting a ceiling on it. And this week, the universe essentially said, cool, let's move then. Just not in the gentle, gradual way I might have imagined. And that's how it works sometimes. You put something out there, you call it in and you name it, and what comes back first isn't necessarily the thing you asked for. It's the clearing, it's the discomfort, the things that make you go, wait, I didn't mean it like this. Not right now, not this way. But you did ask. And this is the in-between part. This is the part that happens while the thing you actually want is being built. The growing pains are real. They're uncomfortable and scary, and some days I genuinely do not know how exactly it will play out or what comes next, and that's not a feeling that I love. But I also know in a place that sits deeper than that fear that what is happening is for my benefit. That what is being cleared is making room for the things that I've been envisioning and the things that I've been calling in and are coming. The Six of Swords doesn't promise a smooth ride. It promises you'll get to the other side. And I believe that, even on the days when I have to work a little harder to believe it. So that's where I am. At the crossroads, in the middle of an uncomfortable in-between, grateful and grieving and also kind of lit up about what's next all at the same time. If you're somewhere like this too, I just want you to know that you're allowed to hold all of it at once. The gratitude, the grief, the fear, the excitement, the love for what was, and the hope for what's coming. And you don't have to pick one. The universe is not asking you to stop feeling things. It's asking you to trust the direction. And I've had every single sign that you could think of that if I just trust and have patience, the right thing will present itself. And so I challenge you to look at whatever it is that's causing you fear and anxiety right now and look at how it might be building something for you that you really need. And as per usual, I have some journal prompt questions or reflection questions for you to sit with this week on this topic. Where in your life are you being asked to move on from something, even if the timing doesn't feel right? Is there a relationship or connection you're holding on to a version of that no longer matches what you're experiencing? What would it feel like to grieve that version and release it? What chapter in your life are you genuinely grateful for, even if the ending wasn't the one you would have chosen? Where have you been begging for a seat at a table that was never really for you? What would it look like to build your own? What have you been calling in, dreaming about, or visioning for yourself that might already be on its way, just disguised as a hard moment right now? Who in your life has shown up for you in the way that real community shows up? Have you told them? And finally, if the universe pulled up a boat right now and said, "Get in," where would you hope that it was taking you? I'll keep you posted on where my boat lands, but I promise we're going to return to our regularly scheduled programming next week with a interview with Ashley Gomez for Human Design. And following that, we will have Lindsay Taylor on to talk about animal communication. So now that I've gotten all of my reflections and everything about my Crossroads moment out thus far, we'll return to having some cool interviews and learning some new things and some new tools that you can use. So be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself and demand the respect that you deserve. I can't wait to see you again on the Crossroads. Bye.